Some girls fall in love loudly. They chase it. They scream for it. They leap into it. But some girls love in silence. They love in secret. They love in pages never meant to be read. Lara Jean Covey was one of those girls. Her story isn't just about high school romance. It's about identity, growth, family, grief, and the power of words. It's about the quiet strength of a girl who lived inside her imagination until the real world knocked on her door. And when it did, she didn't run. She wrote her own ending. This is the full story of Lara Jean Covey. In a world of Instagram posts and loud personalities, Lara Jean Covey stood out for her silence. And not the kind that begs for attention, the kind that holds depth. She was soft, yes, but never weak. She was shy, but never invisible. Born into a Korean-American family, Lara Jean's identity was deeply shaped by tradition, love, and loss. Her mother, Song Covey, had passed away when she was young, leaving behind more than memories. She left behind expectations, warmth, and a quiet emotional void Lara Jean tried to fill with routine, family, and romance novels. Living in the suburbs of Virginia with her widowed father, older sister Margot, and mischievous younger sister Kitty, Lara Jean had always been the middle, in position, in nature, and in voice. Her safe space? A teal hat box in her closet, where she kept 5 handwritten letters to the boys she had once loved. They weren't meant to be sent. They were love stories she never dared live, only dream. Each letter, a confession she didn't have the courage to say aloud. Until one day, someone mailed them. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing your most private feelings have been exposed. Your past loves now know exactly how you felt about them, word for word. This is what happens to Lara Jean. Suddenly, her quiet world crashes. Josh, her longtime crush and Margot's ex-boyfriend, reads his letter. Peter Kavinsky, the handsome, athletic, and unpredictable boy she once kissed in middle school, receives this too. Lara Jean does what she does best. Panics. To save face and avoid hurting Josh or anyone else, she makes a spontaneous deal with Peter. They'll pretend to date. It'll help him win back his ex, Jen. And it'll protect her from embarrassment. What begins as an act becomes something real. Peter, the boy with swagger and a hidden softness, sees her in ways others never did. He notices her favorite snacks. He remembers details from her stories. He listens. And for the first time in her life, Lara Jean finds herself being seen, truly, entirely, without having to pretend. But love is never simple. Narrator. Lara Jean always found comfort in fiction. In books where love was clean and endings were clear. But her real life was becoming anything but. The fake relationship with Peter turns into genuine moments. Late-night phone calls. Snowfall kisses. Handwritten notes in her lunchbox. But the shadows of the past still linger. Josh's confusion. Jen's jealousy. Her fear of rejection. And worst of all, Lara Jean's belief that she's not meant to be the girl who gets the guy. That insecurity runs deep. She's never been the one chosen first. Never been the confident girl with perfect eyeliner and loud laughter. She's the one who stays in the background. Or so she thought. Peter changes that. He chooses her over and over, even when things get complicated. But what really makes Lara Jean special is that she also chooses herself. She doesn't let love define her. She grows into it. There comes a point in every young person's life when imagination must surrender to reality. For Lara Jean Covey, that moment arrived slowly, quietly, like petals falling from a book left open in the wind. After the chaos of the letters and the love triangle that never quite became one, Lara Jean found herself standing in unfamiliar territory. Real love, not daydreams, not paperback fantasies, but a boy flawed, alive, and real, standing in front of her, asking her to believe she was worth loving. And Peter Kavinsky wasn't perfect. He was impulsive, sometimes arrogant. He had history with Jen, Lara Jean's ex-best friend and biggest emotional trigger. But unlike the boys in her letters, Peter was present. He fought for her. He waited for her, and he challenged her to see herself as more than a girl in the margins. Still, as much as Peter was transforming, so was she. Lara Jean was learning that real relationships weren't built on grand gestures alone. They were built on consistency, on apologies, on choosing each other even when the feelings got messy. She was also learning to let go. Letting go of the safety of her childhood. Letting go of her mother's ghost. Not to forget, but to forgive the life she never got to have. Letting go, even of the version of herself that only knew how to love in silence. As high school wound down, another chapter crept closer: college. For most, it's just the next step. But for Lara Jean, it meant more than just packing boxes and decorating a dorm. It meant growing up truly. It meant leaving behind the version of herself that had always been defined by others. By Margot, by Peter, by her letters. Suddenly, the path wasn't so clear anymore. She had dreamed of going to Stanford to stay close to Peter. But fate, or maybe her heart, pulled her toward NYU. Thousands of miles away. A whole new world. Peter didn't take it well. He tried to play it cool, to act unbothered. But his fear of abandonment, rooted in his own family scars, began to show. Their relationship trembled. Not because they didn't love each other, but because they loved each other so much, they were afraid of losing what they had. Lara Jean stood at a crossroads. Chase the familiar, or leap toward the unknown. For the first time, she didn't write a letter. She made a choice. NYU, not because it was easy, not because it promised certainty, but because it was her dream. And for a girl who spent so long living in fantasies, it was a powerful act of real-life bravery. While romance had always driven Lara Jean's story, there was something just as powerful grounding it: her sisters. Margot, the eldest, the protector, the planner. She was Lara Jean's role model, the one who always seemed to have it figured out. But even Margot had her fears, her own heartbreaks. And over time, their bond grew from one of imitation to one of mutual respect. Then there was Kitty. Oh, Kitty, the younger sister who mailed those infamous letters. Reckless, mischievous, and whip-smart, but also deeply intuitive. She saw what Lara Jean couldn't. Not just about boys, but about life. Kitty wasn't afraid to speak up. She wasn't afraid to challenge. And in doing so, she forced Lara Jean to stop hiding behind maybe and start embracing yes. Together, these three Covey sisters formed a trio that weathered grief, change, jealousy, and growing pains, and came out stronger. Their late-night talks, their inside jokes, their honesty, it was their sisterhood, not just Peter or the letters, that shaped Lara Jean into the woman she became. When you think of Lara Jean Covey, you might picture a girl with braids, sitting cross-legged in her room, writing letters she never intended to send. But by the end of her journey, something remarkable happens. She becomes the main character of her own life. She doesn't need Peter to make her feel special, though he still does. She doesn't need letters to express herself, though she still writes. And she doesn't fear the future, though it's still unknown.